Welcome to Let's Talk Petty. We're not petty, but we sure love talking about it.
We love talking about it. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kate.
And today's mini-ep, we have Kate is going to tell us a little story that she found. And where did you find this story?
Well, I found a couple different articles. And while I was reading, I was like, this is so interesting. This is like crazy. And then I found one. I think it's from BuzzFeed, but it's on the U.S. Sun. So
Sun?
Yes, the U.S. Sun. It's from BuzzFeed, though.
Never heard of it.
Well, I've never heard of it either, but it's a funny story, so I'm going to tell it.
All right.
So the story I was reading is about crows.
Crows?
Crows.
Are you trying to tell me that crows are petty?
Crows are incredibly petty, and they hold grudges, petty grudges, for a really long time.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the reason why they're called, groups of them are called murders.
It could be.
They don't like the name, so they just like, what else can we do about it? Let's just be petty.
We're going to be petty, and we're going to hold these grudges forever.
Well, tell me more.
Well, so that's what I was starting to read was this whole article about how crows, when they see a face, they will recognize faces, and the same part of their brain lights up the same way it does for humans.
I've heard that about them before, that they can play favorites. Yeah,
they are very, very much like that. They are tricksters. Like if they're trying to get some food, they'll take a rock or a pebble or something that's by them, a stick. They'll drop it behind an animal that they want to steal the food from. And then when the animal turns to look, they steal the food. Like they'll have somebody else steal the food from them. They're just incredibly smart, which makes them petty, I guess. So I
would love to see a crow do that sometime.
I have seen some videos of crows doing some pretty. They'll fish with.
I think I'm
bread.
going to be going down
you'll go down a
YouTube
wormhole
tonight.
It's so funny. They'll fish with bread. They will put the bread in the water and they'll wait. And then if a fish is coming that is too big and they can't eat, they quick snatch the bread out. And then they'll wait till that big fish goes away, put it back in. They'll just patiently wait. I mean, a couple of different species of birds do this, but I saw it that was crows because, magpies, all that, they're all part of the same species there.
I kind of want to try that trick on someone.
What?
They'll drop something behind them and take stuff off their plate.
And then just be like, I saw a crow.
It must have been a crow that did it. It wasn't me.
Well, they are not only petty grudge holders, but they can hold a grudge for generations of crows. Like they pass that petty down.
I feel like we've talked about people that do that, where it just goes through the family, generation to generation.
And somebody has to break that cycle. So I'm assuming eventually some crow goes, wait a minute, why are we holding a grudge against this guy? I'm out of here. I don't want any part of this.
Do they hold it against other crows or people?
It seems like mostly people. So what the article was that I was reading is the University of Washington ran an experiment where they captured American crows in nets while wearing a caveman mask. And then they released them back onto campus.
They wore a caveman mask?
A caveman mask because they didn't want them to recognize their faces. They wanted them to specifically recognize just this caveman mask.
How did they fall on a caveman?
I don't know. I wasn't there for it. It's something that isn't like a normal human being. I guess something that would really stand out. So they wanted to see how the crows would react is my guess. So then later on, what they would do is they would walk across the campus wearing the same masks. And when they did, the crows would scold and dive bomb them.
Okay, now I see why they would use that mask, because nobody's going to look like that.
They want something very specific and to see how long they could do it. So then they said more than 10 years after capturing just 7 crows, more than half of the crows on campus still raised the alarm at the sight of a caveman mask. So they pass this on. I don't know how, but in their bird language, they're like, if you ever see a caveman mask on a person, you take care of that person. You scold them, you dive bomb them.
When was this study?
I'm not sure. I don't have the year.
I hope it was after the old Saturday Night Live character, Caveman Lawyer. Otherwise, they'd have to have people like posted outside the studio looking out for crows. Looking for crows to dive bomb the skit.
It passes across the country. But it's funny that you say that, because the way that they will teach each other stuff about this is because they're very social and family-oriented birds. They can roost in numbers ranging from hundreds to 2 million in the winter. So they literally could have passed that on. Like just all these crows together, and one's just going around being like, watch out for the caveman.
2 million crows?
2 million in the winter.
Where do they go? Is there a specific spot where 2 million of them go?
I'm not sure. It doesn't say if you ever want to see 2 million crows hanging out in the winter, look at the spot.
These are the details we need.
It is a detail that I don't have.
Oh, and by the way, we're transitioning into a crow podcast.
Yes.
Where it's going to be nothing but crow facts.
Nothing but crow facts.
That's what we're going to call it, crow facts.
Because they're so interesting. So as I'm reading all of this, I came across this story that was amazing. Because, not only do they hold grudges, but if you show them favor, they do reward you. I mean, there's many stories of birds bringing, little trinkets, stuff that they've stolen from other people to bring to you.
There was a Simpsons episode where, with the crows, and
that came up, yes, and
turning on him.
Yeah, because Homer ended up being mean, and so they all attack him. So kind of the same thing, but it's really funny because the title for this is Caution, CAW. Caution, urged. So here's the story. I was
Gotta
bullied.
love a good wordplay.
It is good. I was bullied by my neighbor over a parking space, so I unleashed a murder of crows who drove him crazy to get revenge.
What do you have? Just a murder of crows sitting in his apartment?
Yes.
Just for an occasion like this?
He did, and he used the neighbor's nastiness against him. So are you ready?
I would love it if every single person, when they were born at a certain age, they were given a dozen crows or whatever it would be, and you're told you have one chance in your life to use these to your benefit. And then the crows go and do whatever. Just save it for the perfect opportunity, and when you're ready to unleash the crows, do it.
I think that's so dangerous.
But amazing.
I have a couple people right now. I'd probably be like, yeah, get them.
You only get one. That would be a tough decision.
That would be I would be the one who would hold on to it for too long.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people would probably die with this.
Yes, this murder of crows ready. And they're just like, wait, what do we do now?
Instead of wanting to see their family members on their deathbed, they're just sitting there trying to think, before I die, who can I dive bomb these crows on?
Don't worry about your stupid crows.
We're here to see you. No,
you guys help me think. What do I use it for?
That would be an amazing scenario.
I lied. This is actually off of the Petty Revenge on Reddit as well. So I think the U.S. Sun just picked up the story. So it was posted by Temp the Throwaway.
Temp the Throwaway.
It did receive thousands of upvotes. So according to the post, from the first day the author had moved into an apartment complex, their neighbor across the hall had started to bully them. Why? We parked in the handicap spot next to the sidewalk to the building. Why did they park there? Well, because they're handicapped.
They're disabled, huh?
Every right to... That's what he says. Why? Why did I park there? I'm handicapped. Like, I use the handicap parking because I'm handicapped. So, like, it makes sense. So how could this neighbor even bully them? But
it's totally worth bullying someone.
Yes. Who needs the spot? Like, they need the spot. But they were mad because they had 6 project cars there that they needed to work on. And, of course, they were all parked there illegally. And he was mad because I guess he liked the one that he was working on at that moment. He wanted that spot open for him. So how dare they use that?
Isn't a spot wait, is this person even disabled that wanted to park there?
No.
So he just wanted to work on his car.
He just wanted to work on whatever car he was working on. He wanted it in that spot so he could work on it.
So this person's 100% in the wrong.
Oh, yeah. 100% in the wrong. So obviously, they stuck up for themselves. No, I really need that spot. So because of that, they received a bunch of nasty letters, and eventually the neighbors started to file false noise complaints against them as well. So now they're saying just weird stuff about them and noises. He says, we are a very quiet and introverted couple. We don't interact with people. We always wear headphones and do everything possible to cancel out any noise we make. After giving some background information prior to the incident, the author explains in the post that their building has a decent-sized crow population. I always liked them, so I decided to make friends, said the author, who spent time doing research on the animals to learn their diets and purchase snacks for the birds. However, their neighbors hated the crows. They were really mean to them, screaming, tossing things at them. In turn, the crows didn't like them.
So wait a minute. So this person not only wants to park his vehicle in a disabled person's parking spot just to work on his car for no other reason other than to be a jerk, and throws rocks at birds.
Yes. Throws and yells at, throws stuff and yells at the birds, which obviously is not a very smart person, because even I knew from a young age that you don't mess with crows. You just don't.
Geese and crows, you don't do anything to them.
Yeah, you don't, because they are
no matter how mean you are, they're going to be meaner to you.
Well, and they're crazy. Plus, there's just more of them. That's just a dangerous.
What if this happened to be the spot where the 2 million crows were? This particular building.
This is our winter hangout. This guy's a jerk. Let's get him. Well, the author's feud with their neighbors came to a head after witnessing one of them back into the author's car before taking off.
So the jerk guy
backed into the guy who's writing the story's car. So the person writing this, he became enraged and screamed at them, but claims they received no help from police. So I'm assuming that he was just like, hey, what are you doing? You hit my car and you took off. But a few days later, they overheard the neighbors arguing about wanting to set up cameras because they believed someone was messing with their cars now. So they think, somebody is doing something to our cars. He thought it was us, claimed that there were small dents, scratches, and chips in the windshield. The neighbor eventually did set up small field cameras facing both the walkway and his cars, still believing that this guy and his partner were the vandals. According to the author, after a few weeks of this, they finally saw what was going on. So now these two are watching the cars as well, trying to figure out, okay, well, we're not doing it, so who's doing it? So he says, I go to feed the crows. Then for the days between feedings, these clever little guys would fly over the parking lot high enough to be out of view of the cameras and drop small rocks on our neighbors' cars. Which they are known to do stuff like this. They are known to, like, if there's food and they don't want to get wet or go near the water, but they want that food to float closer to the shore, they'll drop rocks to get it to go closer to the shore by causing the ripple effect to get it closer.
So these crows learned that this was this person's car, the person they didn't like, that threw rocks at them.
That was
so now
mean
they started
to them.
To throw rocks back at him.
So now they are taking revenge. Plus, I'm sure they all saw this guy hit the car, saw him screaming. Like, they saw this whole interaction between the two of them. So he says, my friends were getting back at him for me. The author says the crows kept up the attack on the couples for a couple of years, while this dude slowly went insane trying to catch the vandals. Eventually, the neighbors moved out after becoming fed up with the situation. I don't think they ever figured it out, said the author.
2 years.
They will keep grudges up for a long time, though. And so not only are they like the initial crows dropping crap on this guy's car, but that they're like, when new friends come along, they're like, the target is that car.
That's an amazing story.
I mean, I had read that story first about how crows will hold grudges. So that I came across this story is just gold. I was like, what are the odds? But hey, if you have time and you have someone you don't like, just recruit that murder of crows for you. Help those crows so that they help you.
So did you learn what it was that they like in their diet? Because I'm going to make sure that we always have that on hand. I'm going to make it my life's goal now to have crows at my ready for when something happens.
It's like crows, ravens, magpies, all of them. They are very smart. They are the ones you want to befriend. So you kind of have a plethora of these birds to pick from.
I'm sticking with crows. You can't argue with what actually happened. I haven't heard any magpie stories. I didn't hear a raven story.
How often do you look up? I'm hankering for a good magpie story.
I have a Google alert set for magpie stories.
Well, then that makes sense.
I haven't gotten one in years.
That's so sad. They found out and they were like, "Oh, we're not giving this guy anything to read about."
They're staying
because they're petty.
Staying hidden, yeah. That's why.
Well, anyway, so I loved it. I thought that was
great story.
A really funny story. And I just love how much he used those crows to his petty revenge.
I love that they drove him insane. That was the best part. I'm just picturing this guy for 2 years trying to figure out who's dinging his car.
Yeah, and they obviously are not the brightest. If they're taking this guy's spot that he needs, they're working on 6 cars. Come on. You don't need 6 cars. You live in an apartment. If you want to do that, get a property in the middle of nowhere and keep your crap cars on your own property where no one can see them. And you're blaming them for something that they didn't do and you have no proof of. So he is clearly not very bright. So I don't think that he would figure out. And I'm sure he didn't read up on crows to see, can they get revenge on me? That was just the perfect petty revenge.
Absolutely amazing.
It's great.
Love the story.
All right. I'm glad you liked it.
So that's our story for this week, our mini episode for this week. Make sure you come back next Friday and we'll have another mini episode for you. In the meantime, you can go to our website, letstalkpetty.com. You can catch up on older episodes. You can rate and review our podcast as well. And that helps us out a lot, so we'd appreciate it if you did that too.
Make sure you rate us.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Please be sure and give our show a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.